Hi guys, BuildZoid here, and yeah, we're still on the Gigabyte Z690 Aorus Pro DDR4 board, but this time it's not the G-Skill dual rank Samsung B-Die kit. No, now it's this eBay grade Corsair. Come on. Did I turn off the autofocus? There's a decent chance I turned off the autofocus. Anyway, yeah, you can see it's 3200 CL. Yeah, so it's 3200 CL16 dual rank Samsung B-Die. Still dual rank Samsung B-Die, but from eBay, which is how I know that it's dual rank Samsung B-Die, because it says version 4.31 on the memory stick. Like the sticker on the memory sticks has version 4.31. Do not buy 3200 CL16 kits if you're searching for Samsung B-Die. You will probably not get it. Actually, probably is giving you too high of a chance. You are almost certainly not going to get Samsung B-Die in a 3200 CL16 kit today. If you're looking for Samsung B-Die, look for like 3200 CL14 or 3600 1616, not 1619. 1619 tends to be like Hynix stuff and Micron stuff. So yeah, this kit is pretty old, which is why it's still why it's B-Die even though it's, you know, a 3200 CL16 bin. Yeah, we're gonna see if I can get this kit up to I don't know. Well, we're not going for full stability here today. I just want to show you the process of actually getting a dual rank Samsung B-Die kit running at, you know, high memory speeds. So we should be able to hit 4000 megabits per second, but I've had this kit all the way up to like 4400 in the past on like Z490 and I think Z590 motherboards with 10th gen CPUs. So it should be capable of hitting 4000 megabits per second. I'm just not sure that the board will be able to. But that's kind of the point of the video. It's just like, you know, we're going to see, because I want to take you through the process of actually getting to higher memory speeds on dual rank Samsung B-Die configurations on a Gigabyte 6-layer, a Gigabyte Z690 6-layer DDR4 motherboard. Now, I do have the advantage of having a postcode over there, which does make life a lot easier, but technically this methodology should work even on all the other 6-layer DDR4 Z690 boards from Gigabyte. It's just going to be more difficult to figure out what's going on. So I've cleared the BIOS, as you could see from the whole CMOS cleared message. So we're going to be starting literally from 0. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the reset switch to safe mode, because safe boot is the greatest functionality to ever be put on a motherboard, and I don't know why why the reset switch doesn't just default to being safe mode, but yeah, you should put that to safe mode. That's the only function that button should ever serve. Anyway, we're going to start with 1.3 on the VCCSA, 1.5 on the memory, 1.45 on the VDDQ, and then for our training voltage, I'm going to go straight to 1.45 volts. We're not even going to bother enabling the XMP because XMP doesn't work. So we're going to skip that step. We're going to go 16, 18, 18, which is actually the XMP timings, but we're going to go with TRAS-28. I'm going to set the command rate to, well, okay, no. Initially, we're going to start with 2, though I'd be very surprised if it won't do 1T eventually. Gear mode 1. And we're going to go straight to 3200, so we're just going to punch that in. And that should be everything for the initial start. So, no. F10. Right, yeah, F10, save and reset. Okay, so that boots right up, which is what you'd expect. Yes, 3200 should have absolutely no issues. It's nice to see that, you know, some basic things still work. Because once we get into the higher memory speeds, this board starts being fun, if you, like, hate yourself. Oh, well, no, I guess if you like slot machines, then yes, it'll be fun. So we're going to go straight to 3600 at this point. the enter button, for some reason, doesn't always, like, register. Okay, so 3600, still very easy, which it should be, because 3600 on this board generally doesn't cause any massive problems. It's once you start going past 3600 megabits per second that, you know, you start, or at least with the G-Skill kit. I don't know, maybe this Corsair kit has a PCB that Gigabyte actually, like, optimized the board for, and so it'll just kind of work, but I really hope it doesn't, because that'll defeat the whole point of this video. Oh, okay, yeah, it doesn't. Lovely. Perfect. So we are getting the it's not actually the error I was hoping to see, but it is an error that I consider acceptable. 4C, 4E, good. We have an error, I can fix this. That's the whole point of this video. Okay, so we've hit our first obstacle. I'm glad that it showed up, because honestly, I've had it, like, runs with this board where I'd be like, oh, I'm going to show how this doesn't work, and then it just does it. And it's like, wait a minute, no, that's not supposed to work. So, yes, the thing that isn't supposed to work isn't working. Good. Go. Okay, so we're going to get 3733 up and running. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to set all of the terminations to 80, or all of the relevant terminations, right? We only have 2 memory sticks, so we don't have to set every single termination. Actually, it's not even we don't have to, we can't, because those termination settings are for the termination at the actual memory stick. And so, yeah, you won't be able to set them if there's physically no memory stick. And it trained, yes. Oh man, it is so nice when things work the way you expect them to. If only this board could do that more than, like, I don't know, 3 times in a row. Anyway, so now it fires up, right? So we punch in our terminations and voila, it trains. Now, at this point, we would probably want to lock in our RTLs, but this early into the game, that's actually a bad idea. Like, well, the thing is, doing that right now is probably not going to help us in any way, shape, or form. But we can see the RTLs trained, and they're not completely stupid. It's 71, 73. Those are reasonable RTL values. So now I'm going to drop the command rate to 1. And we're going to bump up the TRCD to 19, because I want to make a push for 4,000 megabits per second. So let's try 3866 first. And okay, it's going to fail. Yeah, 54. This is going to take a few attempts, I think. Hey, there we go. Yeah, once you see the 3A code, you can be pretty confident that it worked. Though, admittedly, if you have literally any other Gigabyte DDR4 motherboard, you don't have a post code, so... yeah, that sucks. If this board didn't have a post code, we wouldn't be doing it. Like, we wouldn't be doing this, because I would just go insane trying to figure out what's going wrong based on, like, the 4 little debug LEDs that you have otherwise. Okay, so I want to check the RTLs, and yeah, they're still very sensible. And in fact, they're better than we had before because of the 1T command rate. So we've got 71 across the board for everything. That's neat. So let's go for 4,000. Now, 4,000 normally trains with just a complete disaster of timings because it's 4,000. So I don't have high hopes, but we'll see. Yeah, so first at 54s. There's a chance it might not train at all. And then at 54s again. And 54s again. Okay, so now we're going to safe boot. We're going to fiddle with some settings, see if I can't get it to be a bit more... well, see if I can't get it to actually train. Because I have done 4,000 megabits per second for at least, like, you know, IDA benchmarks. Not for full stability, because full stability on this board is... well, it's not happening at 4,000 megabits per second. Not with this CPU. It might even be the board. I don't know. Like I've not yet had a motherboard where the CPU has been able to do 4,000 megabits per second. So we're gonna try bump up the memory voltage, which should cause training issues. I say should because earlier today it did, and then later today it didn't. But I don't know what it's gonna do right now. That's the wonderful thing about this motherboard. So you punch settings in. Okay, yeah, this is the error I was expecting to see. So we're just going to hit the safe boot button. It did the thing. So, yeah, that's what happens when you set the training voltage too high. Normally, being a little bit lower should fix that. Though well, we'll try that as well. Okay, so that didn't fix it, so we'll try the other thing. The other thing being setting the MCPLL voltage offset a bit higher. Which has occasionally worked. I don't know for sure that it's going to work right now, but I am hoping it will, because if it does, that would be neat. That I would have proof that it does at least sometimes work, because literally everything with this board seems to sometimes, like once you go past 3600, things sometimes work at the best of times. Yeah, so that does work sometimes. I mean, it still doesn't train, but the 4C, 4E loop is gone. Yeah, but we're still getting stuck on 54. So at this point, I think I'm just going to mash more system agent voltage into it and hope for the best, though that has historically yielded varying results, but that's sort of true for everything with this board, so yeah. It's not really... don't you love memory overclocking? I guess it might be worth it also to maybe just drop down to 3900 to like slowly step the board up, but we're going to go straight to 1.4 VCCSA, see if that helps. And it doesn't. Not immediately anyway, so we're going to give it a few tries, because even on like good settings, it'll sometimes take like 3 or 4 attempts to post. I might just do a reset, like a hard reset, so turn off the power supply. This is a Corsair power supply, so the capacitors in it drain nice and quick. We're just going to switch that off. And that'll reset the memory training of the board, and then we'll turn it back on, and hopefully it'll not get stuck on 3E again, but it probably will. And it does. Well, that's yeah, so the behavior hasn't improved at all, so I'm just going to reset it. Or, well, safe boot it. Imagine doing this, but having to clear the CMOS every time it doesn't post. Oh, man. I'm going to try 0.7, and one thing that has worked for me in the past is lower right termination, though, it's so erratic. This board is so erratic that I honestly don't know if it actually worked or if it was a random fluke. Okay, well, that didn't improve anything. Oh, wait, no, it worked. Yes! Okay, so that does sometimes work. Okay, so now we should have a set of RTLs that works, and we can lock those in. And after that, like, it won't be a problem anymore. Actually, wait. No, we should be able to just lock them in at this point. Oh, we've got like 7381. That's no good. It's no good at all. Yeah. So this basically tells you that like the board is not happy with the. Well, yeah, like basically this is a decent indicator that the memory controller is struggling to run the memory because the RTLs are completely out of whack. Like normally your RTLs should either be the same for both channels or like 1 or 2 ticks apart. If they're 8 ticks apart, it's basically what like one of the channels is falling over basically. So yeah, like that tells you like yeah, 4000 like this is almost certainly never going to be stable. Now we can go actually the thing is, if I want to dial in all the tertiaries at this point, we're going to have to set the RTLs back to auto. So we're going to go 7, 4, 7, 12, 12, 12, 12, 7, 4. I do wonder if maybe a CPU with a stronger memory controller wouldn't actually like work just fine on this board, but I have one CPU, so I can't really test that theory. Maybe with a worse memory controller, it would be even worse. Actually, no, definitely. If you had a worse memory controller, it would be even worse. That's how that works. Gonna set that to 40,000, TXP to 4, RD pre to 6, WR pre to 30, 30, TCKE 4, 4 active window to 16. This is just like standard Samsung BDI timings that I'm punching in. We're not going to touch WR, TCWL 14, and 4, 4. We're not going to touch any of the other timings there. So hopefully this will still train. Actually, because how much memory voltage am I running into? 1.55 volts, and we're training at 1.5. Okay, yeah, I should be able to drop the TRCD a bit. There we go. Please train. Okay, it'll 54. Hopefully it doesn't do that twice in a row. Otherwise, we might just drop it to 3900 and I'll run IDA at 3900 instead. Because like you can see, like technically 4000 is it's possible. I wouldn't recommend aiming for it. Like if you're running into this many issues, you may as well give up because I don't know how you would ever stabilize it if it's this much of a problem to just get there. Yeah. So we're going to drop down to 3900. Which should be significantly easier to do. I'm surprised, however, that the training voltage issues aren't showing up, because we are training at 1.5 volts, which historically with this board has been flaky. And right now it's actually not being flaky at all, so I don't know, maybe this memory kit's a little bit easier to work, like little bit easier for the board to run or something. It might also be that I'm not pushing CL15. Anyway, let's try 3900. And 3900 should be a lot easier. Yeah, so 3900 just immediately trains. Our RTLs should be not a horrible disaster. So we're going to lock them in because otherwise every time it has to retrain, it's going to screw them up. Like there's the chance that it won't retrain properly. Advanced memory settings, go to the bottom. Yeah, so RTLs are actually sensible right now. We've got like 71 across the board, which is, you know, what you'd hope for. It's fine. Like it's still it'll still sometimes do that. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Oh, and now the training voltage bug is back. That's fun. Man, this board. Oh man, this board. Truly a slot machine. Like, I am literally copying the procedure that I had for the G-Skill kit, and it's, like, admittedly this is a different memory kit, but I'm not copying the settings. I'm copying the procedure. There's a difference. And the procedure is no longer, like, working the way it worked before. But admittedly, like, the memory voltage being what it is right now, I'm not too, like, the training voltage being what it is right now, I'm not necessarily too surprised. Also, I'm going to bring up the termination. And also, I'm going to bring back the termination resistances, because 80, 80, 40 has... Like, I've had much more success with straight 80s across the board than with any other mix of termination values. Not that others haven't worked, it's just that 80, 80, 80 has been consistent-ish. Okay, maybe dropping the TRCD to 17 was a bad idea. Maybe. I wonder if that's it. Actually, no, because it did train once. Yeah, it trained once, and now it doesn't. I hate RAM overclocking. Okay, we're gonna also drop this a bit, and you know, no, I'm not changing that. Yeah, I hate this board. Because the thing is, I'm sure if I set the RTLs back to auto, it's just not going to train anyway. Unless I set them wrong or something. Oh, wait, I might have. Oh, shit, I actually... Wait a minute. Nope, 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 nope. Okay, so this happens when... There we go. Oh, I broke the BIOS. Whatever, we'll just shut it down. Turn it on again. Yeah, I think what might have happened is I misread the RTL values. Yeah, because the way they're displayed in the BIOS is a horrible mess. Really, like... That's basically the best way to describe everything about this right now, is like, this is a horrible mess. So I think I think maybe it was supposed to be 7173 instead of 7171. Okay, wait, no. I might not have misread it. It would be neat if I could go back through the recording at this point, but... Okay, I'm gonna set the RTLs back to auto and see if that helps. I really don't expect it to, because historically that has not been the solution, but we'll see, I guess. Okay, we'll try the other, like, 80, 80, 60 terminations, and I'm going to leave the VCCSA alone. I don't think that's going to change anything. I'm going to... Okay, now it's gonna 54 again. And then on like the second or the third time around, it should like go 3E, 3A. Or not, you know, that's always an option with this board. Okay, so it has decided no. Okay, we're gonna go down to 3866. Like, maybe at this point I just need, well, yeah, maybe at this point I do just need to retrain the whole thing, but as in, like, walk it up the frequencies again. Though 3866 has generally not been too problematic, so we'll see if that works. Please. Oh, you horrible pile of trash. Yeah, it's just decided that it's not doing it anymore. And this is why you don't restart your system. It's like, if you get your memory settings to work once and they're stable, do not turn off the system. Actually, memory boot mode, disable fast boot. I don't think that'll really help in this situation, but it's worth trying. Bring those back up to 80. Drop the. We're gonna go all the way down to 3600, and then we're gonna go back up to 3900. See if that helps. Because the thing is, the memory controller does actually sort of use information from previous successful boots for like reboots later on. So booting 3600 and then maybe 3900, like now 3900 might work instead of previously it didn't. Okay, go back up to 3900. Please work. And it doesn't. Nope. Yeah, okay. That's great. Thanks, board. Okay, well, what I haven't tried yet is, like, very low system agent voltage. Okay, well, not very low, but, like, lower system agent voltage. Yeah, and so, like, I spent so much time, like, trying to record a video about getting higher memory speeds to work on this board because of this. All of this. Yeah. Like, it's just so inconsistent. And I really wanted the video to be like, oh, you just have to do XYZ, and then, and no, it's not. You do XYZ. You do XYZ, and then you have to hope that the motherboard's memory training slot machine smiles upon you. And it looks like I've run out of luck for today. Because it ain't freaking training. Yeah, nope. This is going to get permanently stuck on 3E now. It's like, isn't even like like, that's just a generic training error in my experience. Well, no, it's like an RTL miss error, but... Okay, well, I have one other idea. Try this. Because generally, the RTLs that trained at 3900 can work at 3866. I said can, not will. So we're going to find out. And the answer is no, I guess. wonder if no, the dims are still at room temperature, so it's not like they've warmed up or something and now it won't train because they're too warm. That is actually a potential issue if you like restart right after running memtest and you run memtest without a fan and then it doesn't train. It's like, oh, it might be because of the memory temperature. But right now that is not an issue. They are very much the same temperature. Like they're pretty close to room temperature because we've just been going into the BIOS, so it's not like the memory's been doing anything. Well, other than failing to train repeatedly. It's been doing that a whole lot. Okay, well, just mash more system agent into it. Surely that'll help. And of course it doesn't. I mean, I didn't expect it to, but... So at this point, I'm kind of tempted to, like, clear the CMOS and try load up, save this as a profile, clear the BIOS, and see if it doesn't decide to work then. Because I've had that happen with this board. Like, there's some weird thing with how this board, like, remembers settings, I think. Because of just, like, all of the super flaky behavior that it keeps exhibiting all the damn time. Okay, so we're gonna do F3. Corsair. DRS8B for dual rank Samsung B die. And now I'm just gonna shut it down and clear the CMOS. There we go. And I'm going to load up the profile. I am going to drop the system agent voltage down to 1.35 volts again, but I'm not going to change anything other than that. Because I did leave that all the way at 1.45 volts, and that really isn't necessary at this at this memory speed or frequency. Like technically the frequency is 1933 megahertz. 3866 megabits per second speed there. Anyway, so F2, F4, load up the Corsair profile, and drop that to 1.35 volts. Check the memory settings. Yep, that's all still there. And watch as it fails to train again. Yep. Well, at least it's consistent in that it doesn't work now. I just wish I knew why. Like, it worked once and it hasn't since. That's the most frustrating thing ever with memory overclocking. Okay, I'm going to loosen the TRCD way out because that does take quite a lot of stress off of the memory controller. So we're going to go all the way back up to 19. And I'm going to set the RTLs back to auto. And we're going to go all the way back down to 3600 just to make sure that something isn't completely horribly wrong. The thing is, what am I training? I am booting at 1.55 volts. Okay, so actually we would want that much. Yeah. So the termination voltage, so that last voltage I set to 0.768 is supposed to be half of your memory voltage. And since the memory voltage is set to go up to 1.55 volts after memory training, the termination should, well, it doesn't have to be equal. And with BDI, a lot of the time it's beneficial to have it slightly lower. Though it depends. Sometimes it's beneficial to have it slightly higher than half the memory voltage, but in this case, you know, it's slightly above half for training and slightly below half for actual run, like when it actually runs. Okay, so we're gonna try 3733. That still works. Okay. So it's not completely broken. It's just kind of broken. We're going to go back up to 3866, and I'm going to take it into Windows. We're going to run a benchmark, and I'm going to call it a day because I've had it up to here with this board. Like, I succeeded in showing what I wanted to show. Like, if you jump through many, many hoops, you can go over 3600 megabits per second. You're also going to have to keep jumping through those hoops repeatedly, and the hoops randomly change size and position, and sometimes they're on fire. Sometimes they turn into brick walls. You still got to jump through those, by the way. Okay, so it has just gone full brick wall on me now. I was just like, I am not doing 3866 no matter what. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything I could do, but I don't know, maybe just try raise this again. I wouldn't recommend going above like 200 millivolts offset on that, which that's an offset, by the way. But yeah, and then maybe bump this up, which is probably a terrible idea, but it might do the 4C, 4E thing again. And it's not like I have the RTLs set, so I don't know why it's having issues. Yeah, so it didn't... Oh, it trained now. Oh, I hate this board. I really do. Why can't it do the same thing twice in a row? Is that so hard? Okay, so... And yeah, it was 71. Oh, wait, no it isn't. Oh, wait, what? Oh, okay, that's what it is. So it's 71, 69 for some reason, and then 71, 71, which is super weird because, like, this is rank 0, like, dim 1, like, channel A, dim 1, rank 0, and this is rank 1 on the same memory stick. Like, physically, that rank is exactly, like, the exact mirror of the other rank. And for some reason, one of them does a slightly tighter RTL, which is super weird. That, like, shouldn't be a thing, but whatever. Okay, now it works. Yes! Oh no, it's too tight! Okay, so this happens if it's too tight. Yeah, it gets stuck on 55. And when it gets stuck on 55, the safe boot button stops working, so you have to power down fully. And then you can safe boot. Yeah. So it's not like the end of the world. So I wonder if maybe that whole stick shouldn't be at 69. Or maybe just like 70? The thing is, when it, like, so the getting stuck on 55 is definitely, like, that happens when the RTLs are too low or the memory is right on the edge of stability. But more often it happens when the RTLs are too low. Usually if it's right on the edge of stability, it'll get stuck on, like, 99 or B6 or one of the, like, Windows is about to, like, system is about to actually power up the screen type codes. Okay. And now it works. Yeah, now it works just fine, except for the part where it's stuck on 55 again. Why? Ah. So that's a safe boot right now. What's neat is sometimes the safe boot happens really quickly. I don't know why, but it does, and that's neat, because it saves you time. Okay, so it doesn't like this. Let's try that. This is such a bad idea. Okay, now it doesn't seem to care at all. Like, it just kind of keeps training anyway. Okay, that's cool. And then it gets stuck on 55. I wonder if these DIMMs might be weaker on command rate than the G-Skill ones. Because that is a thing. Like, I have some memory sticks that absolutely will not do 1T on some motherboards. So, I don't know. Like, these might actually be anti-1T. And that might be causing, like, the whole... Like, that might be causing some of the issues here. So I'll drop it to 2T, which... Yeah, I didn't think would be necessary, because, like... Previously, the board has, like, had absolutely no... Well, with the G-Skill kit, it had absolutely no issues with 1T. Yeah, with this, it's just... I don't... Like, it might be the 1T. Actually, for 2T, it should just be, like, 73 now. For those two. And that should work. I think it did that earlier today, so... Yeah, so I didn't get that wrong. Because basically, if you get that wrong... Hey, it works now. Yeah, okay, so these seem to have weak command rate. That's interesting. Which I guess makes sense, because, like, the G-Skill kit is really recent. And I think G-Skill uses a... Like, these are about as basic Corsair LED sticks as they get. Like, they're not even RGB. They're literally just red. This is before RGB was a thing. So I guess it kind of makes sense that the PCB on them wouldn't be the strongest in the world. So here we are in Windows. Yay! Probably, like... Actually, you know what? Let's run Y-Cruncher. If it can run Y-Cruncher, then the stability is not totally trash. That doesn't mean it's stable. It just doesn't mean it's completely unstable. Because Y-Cruncher is quite hard on the memory. And that'll be the end of the video. And it is almost an hour long. Well, expected as much. Like that was kind of the idea when I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. It's probably gonna be an hour because like that's the thing with this board is like initially it's like, oh yeah, things are going pretty good, and then things go really wrong for ages, for no apparent reason. So it's reasonably stable. That's neat. Oh man, I'm running Y-Cruncher on stock CPU settings. I guess the Gigabyte board is less aggressive, or it's better at thermal throttling, because on the Asus board, when I tried to run Y-Cruncher with auto CPU, it was really bad. Yeah, okay, it's thermal throttling like crazy. Because that is a really slow Y-Cruncher run. That is really, really slow. So it has to be like it had to be thermal throttling like crazy. But that's fine because honestly, I've had like in the past I've had it literally not run when thermal throttling like at all. Like it would just crash at auto CPU settings with the air cooler. I really wish I had a 12600K for this kind of testing because with the 12600K, the air cooler would actually deal with it just fine. Right? Like this is a 12900K. That's why the air cooler can't keep up. Oh, come on, White Cruncher, don't crash on me now. Okay, yeah, so thermal throttled to hell, so it took 123 seconds, but it did run. So the memory, like the CPU might not have been thrilled about that, but the memory's fine, ish. And I guess at this point, let's do an IDA, right? Like generic crappy memory benchmark. Or more like generic hypersynthetic memory benchmark. Yeah, so pretty slow, which makes sense. I expect the latency to be absolutely horrendous because the E-cores are still on. Well, actually, 63.7 gigabytes isn't that much slower than like the 3866 CL15 overclock, and this is 3866 1617, so, you know, it's not like, it's not a complete disaster. Like it makes like the performance makes sense for the settings that it's at. Like the settings aren't incredible, so what would you expect? Copy is 68 gigs, so that's actually a pretty strong copy, though I guess that's mostly down to the E-cores still being turned on. Now we get the latency test. Oh, that's actually not bad at all. 47 nanoseconds is a lot better than I was expecting. Like, sometimes it ends up all the way at 50. Yeah. I want to rerun it a few times just to see. Because sometimes it'll come down, sometimes it'll not, like, go up. And then come down later. And we've got a 46.9, so yeah. I mean, the thing is, this is not going to have as good latency as some of the other overclocks I've run, right? Like this is 16, 17, 17, 2T command, right? So it's the loosest primaries that I've run with this CPU so far. And it's also the it's also the loosest command rate that I've used. Really just everything about, like, yeah, it makes sense that this is the slowest configuration because it's the slowest settings that I've run. So, yeah, but there, that should give you some idea of what it's like to try get this board above 3600 megabits per second. Like, it can be done. You're probably going to spend north of 30 minutes on it. Just like to just getting it to boot and then be like reliably rebootable, right? Oh, and now it just and it's unhappy again. Yeah. So and yeah, oh great, it's the 55 code. I wonder if maybe it just needs more voltage. Cuz like 55 is really like that's literally like that's RTLs. Like that is the RTL code in my experience so far. Because I have tried to like manually set the RTLs a few times, like without just copying what the board set and punching that in. And 55 is basically what I'd usually get stuck on. Or I think sometimes it would get stuck. Like I think there's one other code that it would get stuck on, but 55 was one of them. A lot of the time, yeah. And so, oh, now it's safe booted. So that's fun. Anyway, what did I want to try? Right, I wanted to try. Maybe if I set this to 1.3 and this to 1.6, just like force it. Because by the time you get to the 55, like, it's already past memory training. Like, the 30s are the memory training process. And then... Actually, maybe it's the step up in voltage. Not the... Like, maybe I should have it set to 1.5. Like, it might crash because of the sudden increase in operating voltage. So... I guess not the end of the video just yet. Because I want to solve this. This is a problem. This has to be solved. And I've already decided that the length of this video is just going to be whatever it ends up being, and like this is a very real problem. I think it like either it's too tight or it's the sudden increase in voltage that causes it to like fall over. Because it trains at 1.5 volts and then it ramps up to 1.6 after training is complete. And, okay, so it might actually be that. Yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate. The reason that's unfortunate is on this board, you can't train at high memory voltages. So if you wanted to run like a high... though I guess technically it also dropped our termination voltage right now. Yeah, no, the thing is with this board, if you want to run like a high memory voltage, you can't train at it. Or at least normally you can't. Let's try that. Like, let's say I wanted to push this Corsair kit to CL14. Oh, wait, it's a TRCD19. Yeah, so no wonder the latency was bad. But let's say I wanted to run something like that, and that would almost certainly need 1.6 volts at the very least, and you just get 4C, 4E, and that's the end of that. Yeah, so that's too much memory voltage, and then it does that. Or more like too much training voltage, and then it does that. Also, I guess I do still have the RTLs manually set. Actually, I should set those back to auto, because I did change the cast latency. But even then, like, it should still do the 4C, 4E thing at 1.6 volts. So yeah, I just set all of those back down to auto, and... 4C, 4E, and then 54, and then it's going to do 4C, 4E again. So basically, if you set the memory voltage high enough, eventually it just stops booting completely because the voltage is too high. There, so there, that is actually now it for the video, because I've shown the absolute insanity that it is to try get higher memory speeds working on the Z690 Aorus Pro. Like, it can be done. And once you get the settings dialed in just right, it does work. But man, does it take a lot of effort, and I'm not sure, like the thing is, it's not like I'm dailying this, so maybe if I was dailying it, I would notice some more issues in the future, but as it is on the test bench, I've really, like, other than the fact that it doesn't always want to restart reliably, I've not noticed, like, oh, if you boot the same settings, it's going to have different stability, which was an actual issue on some past platforms, where it was like, you could boot the same settings twice, and you'd have vastly different, like one time it would run, 600+% mem test, and then you reboot, and it doesn't run 10. That kind of thing. And I've not seen that on this platform yet. Whereas on Z590 with 11th gen, that was a thing. Admittedly, I think that was only a thing in Gear 2, and I've not used Gear 2 at all because, well, it's not good, but... yeah, well, at least, like, especially with B-die, like, dual rank B-die, it really doesn't make sense to go into Gear 2, because you can't do frequencies that high anyway, so there's no benefit to it. But, yeah, there. So that's it for the video. So, thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, leave any comments, questions, suggestions down in the comment section below. If you'd like to support what I do here with actually hardcore overclocking, I have a Patreon. There's a link to that down in the description below. There's also the HOC Teespring store where you can pick up shirts, stickers, posters, you know, the usual YouTuber merch. Both Patreon and Teespring help out immensely with running the channel, so it'd be much appreciated if you check them out. And yeah, that's it for the video. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.